Hey there, it's Sarah, and I'm coming at you with a shorty episode of the No More Wasted Days podcast. And I am so excited for today's episode because I got to sit down with Laura Van Antwerp, who is your sober pal on Instagram. And she also is the founder of YSP Adventures, which is the company that hosted the retreat that I participated in last year when I went to Tahoe. Laura recently came up to my land to visit because we had a reunion for all of the women who were part of that retreat. And I asked her if she would sit down and record an episode, and I was lucky enough that she said she would. So today, Laura and I are diving into one of the most important but often overlooked pieces of sobriety: community. We're going to talk about what it really means to find your people, why connection is such a game changer in alcohol-free living, and how both Laura and I have found communities and created spaces where people don't just stay sober, but they actually thrive. But before we jump into the episode, I've got something exciting to share. Enrollment for the Push to 100 Alcohol-Free Challenge is officially open, but only for waiting list members. This is your chance to be part of a small, powerful group of just 30 people walking through 100 days alcohol-free together. The challenge will start on September 12th, but you have the opportunity to get early access right now. If you've been waiting for the right time, this is it. Go to nomorewasteddays.co/100 waiting list or head to the link in the show notes of this episode and get on the list today and grab your early access spot. Now let's get into this conversation with Laura. I can't wait for you to hear her story and the incredible ways community can transform your alcohol-free journey. Today we have a very special episode happening because Laura from Your Sober Pal is here live and in person at my house, which is such an awesome treat. And this is happening because last year I took one of Laura's adventure retreats, and it was a game changer. I had gotten a little stagnant in my sobriety and stagnant in my life, and I was like, I need something. And I had followed Laura since I had become a content creator. I thought, oh my God, there's somebody else doing this. I can't believe somebody else is telling their story online like I am. And I was like, well, I'll see what these retreats are about. And it was awesome. And we will talk about that. But today we're going to be talking all about community and sobriety because Laura's story is so much different than mine. And I think you're going to get to hear from an extroverted personality and an introverted personality on how to find community and why it is important in your sobriety. Because if you're anything like me, you're going, I don't need community. I'm going to do this all on my own.
Yep.
So Laura, will you tell us a little bit about how community came about in your sobriety journey?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on your amazing property. I never want to use a real plumbing for the rest of my life.
We do want you to know I have real plumbing.
She has real plumbing, but she also has an outhouse and an outdoor shower. And I have to say I'm in love. So anyways, it's been a lot of fun having our reunion here on your amazing property. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah.
I
love that when I was just like, want to do a podcast before you leave?
I was like, yes, can we do it outside? But yeah, I mean, community has been a huge part of my recovery sobriety journey. And, similar to, I think, a lot of other people, I was scared to find community at first. I think there's just a lot of anxiety around it, and there's self-worth stuff that kind of bubbles up. And so I had to dip my toe in with an online community first. And so I had joined back then it was only one online community that I knew of, and it was the Recovery Elevator community. And I ended up actually meeting up with them in real life after I was in the community for like a year. And it was literally like such a life-changing experience. And it really made me realize how much community can support and keep you excited and inspired in your sobriety, which is totally key.
Yeah, that's what I found with doing your retreat, because for me, the only community I had before going to your retreat was online stuff. And I quit with my husband, and I know that that's really unique. And so I had a little miniature community, but he was not, he likes sobriety, but he was not nearly as pumped as I was. I was like, oh my God, this is happening. I'm sleeping better. I'm so creative now. And he was almost like, none of that's happening for me. Mm-hmm. And so I had read the book, This Naked Mind, and it was kind of my turning corner from thinking about quitting to, okay, I'm going to do this. And so I just went on Facebook and Googled like Annie Grace Facebook community, like quitting drinking. And I found out she had like a big free community, like 30,000 people. So I was like, I'll go in that and I'll lurk. And that worked for me. I was like, this is good. And then I decided I'd share my own story. And then that kind of made it so I created my own community within the Daymakers and No More Wasted Days and all of that. And that was awesome. Except for there's this little piece when you're the leader, you feel like you can't go with your problems. Mm-hmm. So if I was thinking things like sobriety's feeling really boring, which it was at 5 years, I was like, this is just who I am. Mm-hmm. And I was struggling a lot with that. We had moved out into the woods, which is great. And we had been building our own house and I didn't really have any friends out here. And so that's when I found your retreat and I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to find a way to pay for it and I'm going to go. And it was so awesome to meet people in real life. So all the stories I had finally been hearing online were happening in real life from women I didn't know. And I was like, oh, this is what I needed. And they made me really excited about my sobriety again. And it was just like, I think that's the thing that people miss if they don't have community. And I think that's the thing. I love hearing that you had the online group, because you also did AA, right?
I did. So the online group was like the very, very first, like
that was your
touch of community. And so I started there and then, I couldn't quite get it to stick. So I went to an in-person meetup in Chicago. I remember because Paul Churchill, who runs the Recovery Elevator, he wanted to try it out. And then I think that kind of is what made me realize I wanted in-person community.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I knew in my heart I needed like face-to-face community. And so I did start going to AA, I think a couple months after that.
Okay.
And then that was where I was able to find in-person community. Although I wouldn't say I found like my like sober sisterhood the same way I have been able to find it through my retreats. Like I feel like it's easier to meet because I'm like very outdoorsy, I'm adventurous, and I wanted to meet more women who were like me, and I was having a hard time finding that through AA. And so that's when I created Sober Pal, and I started to meet more women and people like me. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll like do a meetup. And so I did a meetup and then I was like, oh my God, these girls are so awesome. I could hang out with them in real life. And it made me so excited and I felt so connected and just like, it was just life-changing, you know?
Oh, it totally is. Yeah. That's why you guys will hear me if you follow me on Instagram and you're on my stories, I'll often say, you need to sign up for one of Laura's retreats. Like, if you haven't done this already, what's your problem? And it's not a lie, but it is really and if you're following Laura and you're going, well, she's not really my jam. Oh, we're going to get squirrels in the background since we're outside. But it's like, if you're following Laura and you're like, well, that's too much. There are so many retreats out there. And so, and sober meetups that are free, like a daytime thing. So we wanted to talk a little bit about overcoming obstacles in finding community, because I talk to so many people online who have, I guess excuses. I don't want to say that because I had all the excuses. Right. I was a woman so full of excuses before I quit drinking on first why I couldn't go to AA. Mm-hmm. And it's like one of my most popular reels whenever I post it is 7 reasons I wouldn't go to AA. But whenever you read the caption, it talks about how I had a really big ego and I hadn't done the work yet, obviously. But I had these fears that AA was the only way. That's the only thing I knew from watching TV and from hearing from people. And I didn't want to go because I was not ready to commit forever. And I thought that if you went to AA, it meant you were an alcoholic. I was not ready to call myself that yet. Mm-hmm. And it took me 2 years of my sober journey to call myself an alcoholic. So I wasn't ready for step number 1. Isn't that the first step? Admit you have a problem?
Well, admit you're powerless. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I was like, no. So, and I was like, if I go, then I'm an alcoholic and I have to tell everybody I am. And then everyone's going to know. And I was also like, oh, they pray in AA. And I was like, I'm not going to, no. Mm-mm. And there's time. I was like, I'm going to have to make time for this. I'm very busy. Like everything now when I say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything was such an excuse. But there are things that I hear other people say. What were your objections to community?
Oh man. So, well, with online community, which is where I dipped my toe at first, I remember being like, in person was too intimidating. So I had to start with online. And honestly, it was really powerful. Like online community was amazing.
Yeah.
I remember it was in my online community. I first saw the quote, when I drank to have fun, I couldn't control it. And when I drank to control it, I didn't have fun. And when I saw that wisdom bomb, my brain literally exploded. And I realized like there's so much wisdom that we can glean from each other. And that was really powerful for me.
Yeah.
With AA, because I also was very averse to AA. I have religious trauma in my background. So I'm like, I don't want like all those religious undertones. And then someone once told me, just take what works and leave the rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that an option? And they're like, yeah, you can just take what works and you leave the rest. And so I won't do like sometimes I close with the Lord's Prayer, which is like a resentment I still have. But like, and so I won't just participate in that. And so there's just things that I do and don't do with AA, but it really did work for me only because, you know, it was in person and I found a sponsor, and having that like in-person accountability was a game changer. And she was really awesome. And she helped me find a way to like make it work for me. And then other obstacles too is like you are just anxious, like you have like social anxiety that like is through the roof usually in sobriety, and you're like, will people like me? Am I stupid? Like, and you have all these stories that you tell about yourself, and that keeps you from like going to the thing. And I remember before going to my first in-person meeting, I sat in my car and I literally held onto my steering wheel and I was like shaking because I was so nervous. And I'm an extrovert, like, you know.
Oh yeah.
I love meeting people. I love being around people, but it's still, even for an extrovert, it's still really scary to go by yourself to a new group of people and be like, hi, and like talk about things. Like that's just a naturally scary thing for any human, I think.
Oh yeah. And I felt like, oh, those people aren't going to have the same problem I have. Like we all think we're very unique in our journey when we're stuck in our drinking. We're like, oh no, but see, I don't have a serious problem. That was my thing all the time. Like I haven't gotten a DUI. My kids are still I haven't had my kids taken away. My husband hasn't given me an ultimatum to quit drinking. Like these were all the things I thought, those are the people that are going to go to AA. So I'm not going to fit in. Like I could have an excuse for everything. I didn't want to do the steps. I knew one of the steps was like make amends. I was like, I don't want to do that. That sounds terrible. Contacting people and apologizing. No, thank you. Like I say these things now and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've done this work now, even without AA. And I'm like, it's actually so healing. And there is a reason it's all there. But I think you just got to get out of your own way. If you really, and you said one time on your stories, and that it stuck with me, and it was probably this year, but she said, I couldn't trust my drinking brain anymore. Like I couldn't trust myself to quit drinking because I had failed myself so many times. So I knew I needed community. I knew I needed other people to hold me accountable.
Yeah, I think it was you're counting on the same brain that keeps getting you into this mess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, because that's one thing I teach people a lot. I'm like, you can't trust that brain. That brain is your drunk brain. It's a drunk person. You wouldn't trust a drunk person.
Because it takes time to heal. And so it's like you have one day sober and then you think like that brain that keeps getting you into this mess is going to like fix it. Like that's why it helps so much to be around people who've already done it and can offer wisdom and support and tools to help you navigate early sobriety, which is really, really challenging.
Yeah. And I think one of the very important things you get out of community, because we didn't really touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but you share stories with people and you see yourself in people, and you also see people, because we talked about this a lot in our reunion, Like, we've all seen each other struggle in different areas and come out the other side without drinking.
Right.
And that's really powerful to kind of go, oh my gosh, this person lost their job and didn't drink over it and got to the other side and now things are better. And then you can kind of go, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. That was huge for me within the community, even with that Annie Grace Facebook community. And then seeing people succeed was awesome. Seeing people, I never know how to word this. Seeing people come back and say, I drank and I feel terrible about it, helped. I don't want to say like, oh, that motivated me so much. That makes you sound like a terrible person, but it made me start seeing every single person who drinks is not happy about it. They are not there. Nobody comes back and goes, I drank and it totally worked out and I'm so happy with my choice.
Right.
So that helped me learn, like, okay.
That is so true. I've never seen anyone be like, oh yeah, this is way better. It's a good point.
Yeah, because there would be people in the group that would be like, I'm 400 days. And you're like, oh my God, that person will never drink. They're such a rock star. And then all of a sudden there'd be a post like, oh my gosh, I started drinking and I can't believe I did it. And it's not worth it. And they'd even post like, you guys, this is not worth it. Don't do it. And I was like, okay, whatever you say, random stranger on the internet. But it was really like, I needed that when I was on day 77 to kind of keep going. Okay, keep going, get to day 100. Like that was, you need those shared stories and you need to hear other people and you go, oh yeah. And Quitlet's great. Podcasts are great. But I think you really do need that community where you step in and people know you.
Yeah. And I think a big part of why community is so impactful too is I'm a big believer in service, and like you showing up for others too helps you stay sober.
Yes.
And so you're kind of like cheering each other on. Like that's one of the things I really loved about when I was in my online community. Every morning I had a routine and I would like get up and I did my gratitude practice and then I'd get on the online community and I would make sure I responded to 2 people and like supported and encouraged them before I posted my own stuff.
I love that.
And so I would be like, oh, like, and then you feel more connected with the people in your community. You feel you're more invested in their journeys. And there's just this like camaraderie that forms that's really, really special. And we all created this really amazing bond. I'm literally still in touch with all those people, by the way. We aren't in that community anymore. We like what got off and like, we just stay in touch on Facebook, but it's so cool because like people have gotten married and have gone through death and we still like rally for each other. It's really, really powerful.
Yeah. And that's like, I see that in the Daymakers all the time too, because people don't stay in the Daymakers community forever.
Right.
And I kind of like, when people do leave, I'm always like, just write me. Just keep telling me every now and then, check in and just say, just wanted to give you my day count. Like, that's all you got to tell me. Because I just love it. And I know there's people within the community, like they become friends outside of the community. And it is such an amazing thing.
You always remember your first community too. Like I'm sitting here talking about Recovery Elevator and Cafe RE. It's been like a decade maybe since I've been in that community, but like those moments stay with you, that community stays with you, that experience stays with you. A lot of the stuff you're going through in early sobriety is just so pivotal to like the person you become. And so I just always think about those people and I'm like, oh, I wonder how they're doing. Cause I haven't stayed in touch with everybody, but I still think about them. And I'm like, how is that guy doing? I hope he's good. And yeah, it's really, really cool. And I do want to point out too, I know we've talked a lot about AA, but I feel so grateful. I think it's so cool that we are at a time where there's so many options for community. Like it is I always tell people it's like a literal like Las Vegas buffet of options out there. Like so many that you can try a billion things out and you can take what works, leave the rest, or move on to the next thing. There's just so many options.
Oh, yeah. And that's another thing, too, with the people will say, well, I don't have the time. We'll do online then. You can always create time for online. I don't have the money. AA is not the only free community.
Yes.
And I always tell people too, even the paid communities, when you start thinking about how much money you spent on alcohol.
Exactly.
Like for me, I'm always like, oh gosh, well, if it's a $30 a month membership, which is what Daymakers is, well, I spent like $175 on alcohol a month, which people will tell me that's so low.
That is low. Oh my gosh.
I was a really cheap drinker. I'm really cheap in
You were
real
slapping the
life.
bag.
I would go to grocery outlet and I was like, what's under $3? This wine, I'm not.
That is so
and
funny.
that should have been a sign too. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not here for the classiness. I'm here to get drunk. So what's
Right.
the cheapest?
Yeah.
And I was also the sale shopper. I had a stocked liquor cabinet, which I hear some people didn't like. So I was like, oh, there's a sale. Time to go get it. I'd get the big bottles of vodka because it was more bang for your
That's
buck.
so funny. I was like, I'm only gonna have one bottle in the house so that I only drink one bottle. And then I would
no.
drink and drive.
That was like the weird thing when I quit, that there was still alcohol in my house. But I was actually like, my brain had shifted. I was like, I don't want that. And I
love
had to figure
that.
out how to get rid of it though, which was a whole, I was like, can I put this on Facebook Marketplace? Is that allowed? Is that legal? And I'm like, I don't think so.
That is funny.
But yeah, so I didn't, but then my husband also spent the same amount. So as a couple, well, we were up to $300. So to do like, okay, look at the membership, it's usually not that much. And some people will say, well, now I spend it on LaCroix. And I'm like, no,
Not the same.
Even me
Not
being
the
so
same.
cheap, it's like I wasn't spending the same on
One
my
thing-
NA stuff.
One thing I found too, because there are there's a lot of free options. The Stop Drinking subreddit is another place I direct
yeah.
people to when they're like just starting and like you want to hear other people's stories. It's a free subreddit and it's just all people sharing and supporting each other. The thing is, I've noticed with the paid online communities is they're just well managed. And so the moderators will moderate and make sure that it doesn't, because I've been on like really huge free Facebook communities for sober groups and they are like, just, I don't know, like it's missing that like supportive, uplifting, inspiring vibe. And that's what I look for in my community. Like,
Yeah.
and I always tell people this about meetings too, like, because a lot of people be like, oh, I tried this meeting and it was like depressing. And it's like, cool, you tried it. And I like keep looking because for me, I know what I'm looking for. And it's like, I'm looking for a community of sober people who are like awesome and inspiring and motivating, but also vulnerable and real and like willing to share their struggles, but also like are willing to do the work. Like there's just, certain things that you look for and you can
Yeah.
really feel it when you find a good match for you. Like
Oh, yeah.
you literally I leave the meetings or whether it's online or in person and I'm like levitating. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that was like the best wisdom bomb. And oh my gosh, like that story really resonated with me. And I'm like so inspired by them. And like you literally feel so energized and like nourished after a good meeting.
Yeah. And that's how you know it's your meeting. And we've talked about this a lot on the podcast. You're allowed to go to something. And if you don't like it, you're allowed to not go again.
Yes.
You're allowed to go and not stay for the whole thing.
100%.
And I think that's something that as drinkers, we're like, a lot of us are people pleasers.
Yes.
I know this from talking to a lot of us, but you go, oh, well, I could go. And then I have to keep going back. Well, which is actually a good thing. It's a little bit of accountability, but
Right.
I'm giving you permission. Laura's giving you permission. Like, you don't have to stay. You can go and be like, this isn't my meeting. I'm going to go ahead and head out and never
Yeah.
come back to this one. And just people really, if you're like me, you're going to make a million excuses on not finding the right community, but it is so key. So I'm looking at our notes here. I'm kind of interrupting, but we had tips on how to find community, which we kind of dove into with like, try them, like try it all and start researching, because that's the other thing. There's all these sober in the city movement.
Yes.
Like there's a sober in Seattle. That's way too far for me. Like I know me, but me
like
and
2 hours.
my husband were actually talking about with this reunion, well, why don't we start a sober in the county that we're in and make it hiking centric and make it entrepreneurial centric? Like, so that's one of our big tips. And I know if you're listening and you're going, well, I'm just listening to this the first time, but you can create your own community.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what Laura did, like with the meetups and the let's go do these things.
Yeah, I mean, people will ask for it, so I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm scared to do it," and you're intimidated to organize. But people really are yearning for community and sober community, and even people who are not in recovery per se, but they just want to like do stuff that it doesn't center alcohol. And this is a big theme I've noticed in my retreats is a lot of these women I do women only adventure sober retreats. And so these girls will come and they're like, oh my gosh, like I want this, like this is amazing. Like, but I want this in my community. Cause it's like, I don't want to have to drop X amount every year to go on a retreat, or like, I only see you once a year, but what about the rest of the year? And so a lot of these girls will go back and start a community in their city. And so this year alone, Someone started a community in Boston, and then someone else in SLO in California. And then I had a girl that came to my Idaho retreat, and she started a community in Asheville, North Carolina. And there's over 500 members in the community. And she's like, every meeting is popping. Like,
yeah.
And that's a small like community. Like that's a small area.
And one of the people that's in her community, I've followed for so long, and that's who I thought was going to be your co-host, but that's a whole nother thing. But I was like, oh my gosh, she knows so-and-so. So it's just, I mean, your community is bigger than you think it is, even in a small area. Like, and that's kind of what has opened my eyes too, to be like, okay, I need to do some actual meetups and find some people.
I agree.
So definitely try everything, start a community. And if it's within your budget, do a retreat. I know you have payment plans because that's what I did.
Yeah. So I try to keep my retreats on the more affordable end of things. And we do offer payment plans, but you know, even if you can't afford a full on retreat, you know, there are meetups that happen. When I went to that meetup in Chicago with Cafe RE, I mean, that was like, I had to fork over some money, but like after it was all said and done, I'm like, best money I spent all year. And that's what a lot of people say after my retreats too. It's like such an honor. They're like, best money I spent all year. Yeah. Like this was the most amazing experience. And thank you for organizing everything. And so, yeah, I mean, I recommend if a retreat, a meetup, there's just so many options out there. Yeah. And it's always like an amazing time, you know, do your research, of course, but
yeah. And there's different apps out there too for AA. So I would imagine there are for Smart Recovery on like find a meeting near you. I can't remember. It's like find the chair. It's a chair on the app. That's what I know. But then you can start finding meetings because even though I don't go to meetings, I know when all the meetings happen near me. Like I am so like, I'm going to go, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I always tell myself, well, that's first step. It might take me, I'm a slow learner, so it might take a little while, but find those apps, look for that community, remind yourself it's good for you.
Yeah. And it's scary. Like it's scary and that's okay. I think part of like early sobriety is learning to, I call it embrace the awk, where you're like, you just got to embrace the awkward parts. There's going to be a lot of them. You're basically a baby deer, like learning to walk again in social settings. And you're just like, ugh, you feel like a pimply faced teenager, like, oh, will you be my friend? Like, so that's what it feels like. But
it does.
You have to remember that it's feeling like that for everybody else too. And so just take a sincere, like my tip is always like, just take a sincere interest in other people, ask them questions. Like, everyone is nervous. So like, don't be afraid to be the one to break the ice. Like, and that has really helped me like come out of my shell too, is I just tell myself like other people are like so flattered when you ask them questions. So like ask questions, take a sincere interest in what like their passions and hobbies are. You know, like little inside jokes start to form. It's just like these little things and you feel these bonds started. And then like, oh, like I've been sober this long. Oh, I've been sober this long. Oh, remember, did you hide bottles of wine in your hamper? Me too. And then it's like you cracking jokes and it just kind of starts to snowball. And I will tell you this too, like the hardest part is showing up. Like the scariest part is like everything leading into the event or the meetup or whatever, and then being there is actually a lot easier. You're like, oh, this is actually pretty cool.
Like even hosting the reunion, I told all the women, I was like, oh my God, yesterday I was like almost crying getting ready for all of you to come, because I was like, do they all know that my house isn't really finished being built? Do they know what they're walking into? And then when they got there, it was so easy and relaxed. And it was the same for the retreat too. And I was like, I'm so nervous to meet all these people. What did I do? Why? And every woman said the same thing, that all of us were like, we almost backed out.
Everyone almost backs out. I know.
And it's like, and then you get there and you're like, oh, this was such a game changer. And that's how an AA meeting can be. That's how an online community can be. So try, if you're nervous, try it out. I find most times the things that I'm the most nervous about are the things I need the most.
Yeah. And accept that being nervous is part of the growth. Like, be nervous and do it anyway. Like, I'm really proud of myself for those moments when I was scared to walk into a room of strangers and like show up and be seen and take up space. I'm really proud of the moments that I was, probably the moments where I was the most scared are the moments I'm the most proud of. And so you have to remember that, like, the more you're trembling about it, the more you're going to be grateful you did it down the line. And I've been doing retreats for 4 or 5 years and I still have a freak out before each one starts. I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to like me. And oh, like what if something happens? And like, I freak out. And then once I'm with everyone is so awesome. And it's like, we've known each other our whole lives. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so relaxed. And that's like literally how it always goes.
I'm so glad to hear that, because that was, and I even knew all of you. And I knew you were all laid back, and I was still going, oh my God, they're going to hate it here.
But how cool is it that we met last year? And like, okay, so last year, the retreat that we met at, the 2024 Lake Tahoe Adventure Retreat, I created a private group chat for every retreat. And so that way everybody can kind of connect and meet in advance. And that chat was like busted right out the gate. Everyone was like so chatty, and I was like, wow, everyone's like connecting so quick.
Which made me more nervous. Oh my God, these people know how to socialize and I don't.
And then we met in person, and it was like we just picked up where we left off in the chat, and then we went home, and then the chat just kept going. And then this year we were like, we miss each other, like let's meet. And it's just so cool. Like I feel like I've known all this group for like my whole life.
I know,
it's
and we
weird.
got together, and it was like we didn't.
Like a day hadn't gone by.
Yeah, it was just like easy. Like I remember getting a little anxious. I was picking up the first two ladies, and I was like, oh, I hope it's not awkward. And right when I saw them, I was like, get in the car. Yeah. Like it just started like, oh yeah. And it was awesome. So don't be afraid. Even if you're socially awkward like me, it can be done.
We're all socially awkward because we all got sober later in life, and now we're like figuring out how to be social. So it's okay. It's whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So I really hope that this helps. And if you're a person who's being very hesitant about community, start being like, okay, I can do this. And it's a perfect time to remind you that the waiting list officially opened. So the enrollment period to the Push to 100 that will start in September is open right now to waiting list members, but that doesn't mean you can get on the waiting list right now. I hope I'm wording that correctly.
So for your challenge, do people get to be a part of your online community?
Yes. You actually get, first, we're like a little tiny community, and I only allow 30 people into the Push to 100 so I can give everybody the attention they need. And we can you don't feel overwhelmed that, oh my gosh, there's too many people in here. So that is capped. So that's one reason it's really important to get on the waiting list. You have that early enrollment access. And then after that, you get 1 month access to the day makers. So you can decide, is this
How big is that community?
That community right now is like 65 people.
Oh, that's a good number.
Yeah, it's not too, and people come and people go, but it's like, it's a good number where you don't feel like you get lost. So check that out for sure. And I'm going to put all of Laura's links below. Follow her on social media if you don't already, for inspiration all the time. And if you love outdoor stuff. And also, I don't want people to think her retreats are like major adventure. You have to be hardcore. Like, it's doable for everybody type. Like, there's all different retreats you can check out. So if you're like, I'm an outdoor cat, then
we label the adventure level on each retreat. So we have like some more easier adventures, and then we have like harder ones like whitewater rafting and stuff. So
because I'm even an adventurous person, but I was like, I don't want to camp. That's like my life.
I don't want to camp. I don't want to hike 11 miles.
Right now. I was like, I want to sleep in a bed in a cabin.
I do want to say, if you're listening to this podcast, I encourage you to do one thing to find community today. So either join the challenge. What is it?
The Push to 100
challenge.
Yep. But yeah, check out the day makers. It's $30 a month. You can try it for $7 for 2 weeks.
That's a steal. Yeah.
It's really easy to cancel too. Like I am not a person who wants to charge people random charges. I'm not that person.
I'm always looking for online communities to recommend to people, and so I highly encourage you to join this one. If that's still too much, the Stop Drinking subreddit is a great option.
I forget about Reddit, and it is a great place to just read and check out Laura. Follow her if you haven't already, and you can probably start getting on waiting lists for her retreats in 2026 because you're almost done.
I'm done for this year, but if you're outdoorsy,
there is a backpacking 101 left.
That's true.
Is there a spot open in
There is one spot left in my upcoming backpacking 101 course. So if you want to learn how to backpack with a bunch of amazing sober women, you can visit yspadventures.com to apply, and it is so much fun, and it's really cool.
Yeah, and don't feel again like you have to be a backpacking pro on that.
No, you're supposed to have never done it before. Well, you're supposed to be a novice because we're teaching you all the things, and it's really cool. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
And now I've heard that we're going to record a little fun TikTok together.
That's right. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you. And we will be in your ear in the next episode.